The invitation arrived like a perfectly timed bomb, set to detonate my carefully reconstructed life. My phone lit up with Mom's name, and I already knew what was coming. 3 years of the same song and dance had taught me well. I'm Camila, and until 3 years ago, I was the perfect daughter, or so I thought. These days, I'm the family disappointment, all because I divorced the wonderful Trevor. Sweetheart, Mom's voice dripped with artificial sweetness. We're having Thanksgiving at the house this year, and we want you to come. I pressed my fingers against my temple, sitting back in my office chair. Through the glass walls, I could see my employees bustling about, building the company I'd created from scratch, the company Trevor had tried to take credit for. That's nice, Mom. I'd love to. Trevor's coming too, she interrupted. He called last week to ask if he could join us. Such a thoughtful boy. My stomach clenched. Of course he did. Mom, we've been divorced for 3 years. I'm not comfortable. Camila, don't start this again. Her voice hardened. Trevor is still family. He checks on us regularly, helps your father with his investments. When was the last time you even visited? I bit back a laugh. Those investments were probably another one of Trevor's schemes. I tried to visit last month, remember? You told me you were busy because Trevor was taking you and Dad to that new restaurant. Well, he had reservations at Lorenzo's. We couldn't just. The restaurant I own, Mom. I'm the one who opened Lorenzo's. Silence stretched between us. I could practically hear her mental gymnastics trying to justify that one. Well, she finally said, Trevor was the one who introduced us to it. I glanced at the framed magazine cover on my wall. 40 under 40, rising stars in business. My face smiled back at me, but Trevor had somehow convinced my parents that he'd been the mastermind behind my success. My office door opened and Marley poked her head in. One look at my face, and she knew. She slipped inside, closing the door behind her. Mom, I need to go. I have a meeting. Just promise you'll come to Thanksgiving and be civil to Trevor. Your father and I are tired of your attitude. I caught Marley's eye, and something shifted inside me. 3 years of watching Trevor manipulate my family, of being painted as the villain, of having my achievements credited to him, something finally snapped. Sure, Mom, I'll come and I'll bring Trevor's favorite wine. After hanging up, I slumped in my chair. Marley perched on my desk, raising an eyebrow. Trevor's favorite wine? Since when do you enable that parasite? I pulled up my email, clicking on a message from Nasir, my business analyst. Since I found out Trevor's been telling my parents he's some sort of financial genius who's been advising my company remotely. Marley leaned over to read the email. Her eyes widened. He's trying to get investment money from your parents? That's sleazeball. Not just that. I turned my monitor to show her the security footage from Lorenzo's. See that? Last week, he brought them to my restaurant, acted like he owned the place, and then expense charged the meal to the corporate account he shouldn't even have access to anymore. Can't you just show your parents the evidence? I shook my head. They'd say I doctored it. They need to see it for themselves. A plan started forming in my mind. You still have those mini cameras from your journalism days. Marley's face lit up with understanding. The ones that look like buttons? Yeah, why? I pulled up my calendar, marking off Thanksgiving Day. Because it's time everyone saw the real Trevor. No more charming act, no more manipulation, just pure, unfiltered Trevor. You're going to expose him at Thanksgiving dinner? Marley's grin turned wicked. That's deliciously evil. I'm in. It's not evil, I corrected her, but I couldn't help smiling. It's karma, and it's about time it caught up with him. My phone buzzed with a text from Trevor himself. Looking forward to Thanksgiving with the family, just like old times. I showed Marley the message, and we both laughed. Oh, it's definitely going to be memorable, I said, already imagining the look on everyone's faces when they finally saw the truth. Just not in the way he's expecting. For the first time in 3 years, I was actually looking forward to a family gathering. Sometimes the best revenge isn't served cold, it's served with turkey and all the trimmings. These cameras are so tiny, no one will notice them, Marley said, laying out what looked like ordinary shirt buttons on my kitchen counter. The real challenge will be positioning them right. I picked one up, marveling at how something so small could potentially change everything. We'd spent the past week gathering intel, and each new discovery made my blood boil. Nasir sent over more documents this morning, I said, pulling up my laptop. Look at this. Trevor's been using my parents' address for loan applications. Marley leaned over my shoulder, frowning. That's fraud, isn't it? Technically, yes, but my parents probably gave him permission, thinking he was some financial wizard. I closed the laptop, fighting back frustration. They trust him more than their own daughter. My phone buzzed, another text from Trevor. Just had coffee with your dad. He's so excited about this new investment opportunity I showed him. God, he's not even trying to hide it anymore. Marley muttered, reading over my shoulder. How are we going to do this? I grabbed a notepad and started sketching the layout of my parents' dining room. Mom always sets the table the same way. Trevor will sit here, next to Dad. They'll be talking business for sure. They always do. And the cameras? One in the centerpiece. I pointed to the spot. Mom always uses those tall candle holders. We can hide one there, another near the buffet where people gather before dinner. The doorbell rang, and Marley went to answer it. She returned with Nasir, who looked more serious than usual. You need to see this, he said, pulling out his tablet. Trevor's been busy. He's starting a new company, using your business model, your contacts, everything. My hands shook as I scrolled through the documents. He's pitching to my investors, using my proprietary information? That's not all, Nasir continued. He's been telling people you're advising him that it's a joint venture. That son of a Marley started, but I cut her off. Add it to the list. We need everything documented, everything ready to play at the right moment. I turned to Nasir. Can you get me the security footage from the office when he came by last month? Nasir nodded. The one where he was bragging to the security guard about how he built your company? Already got it. Perfect. I picked up one of the button cameras. Now we just need to catch him in the act at Thanksgiving. Are you sure about this? Marley asked, her voice softening. Once you do this, there's no going back. Your family? My family? I laughed bitterly. You mean the people who blamed me for the divorce, who think I'm ungrateful and cruel for not letting Trevor help with my business? Cam, Nasir interjected. Marley's right. This will hurt them too. I walked to my window, looking out at the city skyline. You know what hurts? Getting calls from mom about how Trevor took them to my restaurant, and acted like he owned the place. Having dad ask why I can't be more like Trevor and share my success with the family. Finding out my ex husband is trying to steal my business model while my parents cheer him on. The room fell silent. Finally, Marley spoke up. Okay, then let's do this right. Nasir, can you compile all the evidence into something we can play on a TV? Already on it. I can make it accessible from your phone, Camila. One click and it'll stream to any smart TV. We spent the next few hours planning every detail. Marley tested the cameras, Nasir organized the footage, and I scripted exactly what I needed to say. As they were leaving, Marley hugged me tight. You know, this could get ugly, right? It's already ugly, I replied. At least now it'll be honest. Later that night, I got another text, this time from my sister Paige. Mom says you're coming to Thanksgiving and bringing Trevor's wine. Glad you're finally being mature about everything. I stared at the message, remembering how Paige used to be my closest confidant. Now she was just another person Trevor had charmed into his corner. Yeah, I texted back. It's going to be a Thanksgiving to remember. I picked up one of the button cameras, turning it over in my hand. 3 years of gaslighting, manipulation, and stolen credit were about to end. Trevor wanted to play happy families? Fine, but this time everyone would see the show he was putting on. My phone buzzed one last time. Trevor again. Don't forget that wine, and wear something nice. Your mom always says you don't try hard enough. I smiled, thinking of the cameras and the evidence waiting to be revealed. Don't worry, I typed back. I'll make sure everything is perfect. Oh my god, Marley gasped, staring at her laptop screen. Listen to this. We were reviewing the footage she'd gathered from Lorenzo's security cameras. Trevor's voice filled my home office, crystal clear despite the restaurant's ambient noise. Yeah, Camilla's parents are so easy to work, Trevor was saying to someone off screen. They still think I'm the business genius behind their daughter's success. It's hilarious. My hands clenched into fists as I watched him laugh, sipping the expensive wine he'd charged to my company account. Keep watching, Marley said quietly. The footage continued, showing Trevor with a potential investor, one I'd been courting for months. Of course, I can get you in on the ground floor, he was saying. Camila might have her name on the paperwork, but we all know who really built that company. Stop. I couldn't watch anymore. Just stop it. My phone rang, making us both jump. It was Paige. Hey, sis, she chirped, too cheerful. Guess who I just had lunch with? I closed my eyes. Let me guess. Trevor? He's so worried about you, Cam. Says you've been making some questionable business decisions lately. He only wants to help. The audacity made me laugh. Did he mention these questionable decisions while charging his lunch to my corporate account? Don't be petty, Paige scolded. He's still family. Mom and Dad are so happy you're finally coming around. Trevor even showed Dad some investment papers today. What investment papers? I sat up straighter, signaling Marley to start recording. Oh, some amazing opportunity. Trevor says it's guaranteed returns. Dad's thinking of using his retirement fund. His retirement fund? My voice cracked. Paige, you can't let them do that. Trevor's not. Here we go again, she sighed. You know what your problem is, Cam. You're jealous. Trevor's successful now, helping the family, and you can't stand it. Marley, who'd been listening, mouthed, Are you kidding me? I put the phone on speaker. Successful? I repeated. Paige, what exactly do you think Trevor does for a living? He's he's in business. Finance. Important stuff. What business? What finance? Name one company he works for. Silence stretched between us. Finally, Paige said, Well, he's obviously very busy with multiple ventures. He doesn't have time to explain everything. After hanging up, I slumped in my chair. I've been too quiet, I said to Marley. All this time, I thought staying professional meant staying silent. And Trevor used that silence to spin his own story, Marley finished, turning back to her laptop. But look at this. We caught him on camera last week, too. New footage played, showing Trevor in my company's lobby. He was talking to the security guard, bragging about his newest venture. It's basically Camilla's business model, but better, he was saying. She's too cautious, too by the book. I'm going to show everyone how it should be done. My phone buzzed with a text from Nasir. Trevor just tried to access our client database again. Third attempt this month. He's getting desperate, Marley observed, making mistakes. Another text came through, this time from Mom. Darling, Trevor mentioned you might be struggling with the business. Why don't you let him help? He has such wonderful ideas. I showed Marley the text. 3 years, I said. 3 years of this. Of being told I'm not good enough, not smart enough, not grateful enough. Of watching him take credit for everything I've built. And on Thanksgiving, Marley said with a grim smile, it all comes crashing down. We spent the next hour reviewing more footage. Trevor bad-mouthing my parents behind their backs. Trevor using my company's resources. Trevor bragging about how easy it was to manipulate my family. One thing I don't understand, Marley said as she packed up her equipment. Why didn't you expose him sooner? I walked to my window, watching the sunset paint the city gold. Because I thought if I'd just worked harder, achieved more, my family would see the truth on their own. I thought facts and success would speak louder than Trevor's charm. And now? Now I realize some people won't see the truth unless it's shoved in their faces. I turned back to her. Is everything ready for Thursday? Marley nodded. Cameras are prepped, footage is compiled, and Nasir has the presentation ready to stream. Just say the word. As she left, I got one final text from Trevor. Just had dinner with your parents. Your mom's worried about you, says you seem angry lately. Maybe you should see someone about that. I smiled, thinking of the evidence we'd gathered, the cameras waiting to expose his true nature. Thanks for your concern, I texted back. See you at Thanksgiving. The day before Thanksgiving, I stopped by my parents' house to drop off some wine, not Trevor's favorite, despite what I'd told Mom. My hands shook as I rang the doorbell, the weight of tomorrow's plans sitting heavy in my stomach. Mom opened the door, her smile faltering slightly. Oh, Camila, we weren't expecting you until tomorrow. Just dropping off some wine. I held up the bottles. Thought I'd save time tomorrow. Come in, come in. Your father's in his study with Trevor, going over some paperwork. My heart stopped. Trevor's here? Yes, isn't it wonderful? He's been so helpful with your father's retirement planning. I moved toward the study before I could stop myself, Mom's protests fading behind me. The door was partially open, and I could hear their voices. It's a guaranteed return, Daryl, Trevor was saying. 20% minimum. Just need the initial investment to get started. Well, the retirement fund is pretty much all we have. Dad replied. But if you're sure, I pushed the door open. Trevor and Dad looked up, Trevor's charming smile sliding into place immediately. Camilla, what a lovely surprise. He stood, straightening his tie. We were just discussing business. I heard. I turned to Dad. You're investing your retirement fund? Dad's face hardened, the expression I'd grown used to since the divorce. Trevor's found an excellent opportunity. Not that it's any of your business. It is my business when someone's trying to scam you. Camila, Trevor said smoothly, just because you're not interested in helping your parents financially doesn't mean. Helping? I laughed. Like you helped yourself to a corporate card at my restaurant? Or helped yourself to my client database? What's she talking about? Dad asked Trevor, who merely shrugged. She's been under a lot of stress lately, making accusations, seeing things that aren't there. He placed a hand on Dad's shoulder. Maybe we should discuss this another time. My phone buzzed. Marley. Cameras are ready. All systems go for tomorrow. Fine, I said, backing away. We'll talk tomorrow. As I turned to leave, I heard Trevor say quietly to Dad, see what I mean? She's not thinking clearly these days. I found Mom in the kitchen arranging flowers for tomorrow's centerpiece. Mom, please don't let Dad invest his retirement fund. Trevor knows what he's doing, she said without looking up. Unlike some people, he considers family first. Family first? He's been using your address for fraudulent loan applications. Mom slammed a vase down. Enough! I don't know why you're so determined to paint Trevor as the villain. He's done nothing but support this family while you've been too busy with your precious company to even visit. My precious company that pays for your country club membership, that funded Paige's wedding, that company? Trevor says, Trevor says, Trevor says. I threw up my hands. Do you ever listen to yourself? The front door opened and Paige's voice rang out. Hello? Anyone home? Mom's face brightened instantly. In the kitchen, dear. Look who's here early. Paige entered, her smile fading when she saw me. Oh, hi, Cam. Don't worry, I'm leaving. I grabbed my purse. See you all tomorrow. Don't forget to dress appropriately, Mom called after me. Trevor mentioned you've been looking rather unprofessional lately. I slammed the car door harder than necessary, my hands shaking as I called Marley. They're about to invest their retirement fund, I said when she answered. Trevor's there right now, convincing them. That's illegal, Marley said. We should call the police. No, tomorrow. Everything comes out tomorrow. I started the car. Did you set up the cameras? All in place, one in the centerpiece, one by the buffet, one near the liquor cabinet where Trevor always holds court. We'll catch everything. Good. I pulled out of the driveway, watching Trevor emerge from the house. He waved, all charm and confidence, because I'm done playing nice. Are you ready for this? Marley asked softly. Once you do this, your family? My family stopped being my family the moment they chose Trevor over me. I watched him get into his luxury car, probably leased with stolen money. Tomorrow they'll finally see who he really is. And if they don't, then at least I'll have tried. I headed home where the evidence was ready, the plan was set, and tomorrow's revelation waited. One way or another, this ends at Thanksgiving dinner. My phone buzzed one last time. Trevor again. Looking forward to tomorrow. Your parents are so excited to have the family back together. Try not to ruin it. I smiled, thinking of the cameras hidden throughout the house, the evidence compiled, the truth waiting to be revealed. Don't worry, I texted back. Tomorrow will be unforgettable. Thanksgiving Day arrived with picture perfect weather and a knot in my stomach. Marley and I pulled up to my parents' house 15 minutes early, watching other cars arrive. There's Trevor, Marley pointed out, in his new Mercedes. Leased, I corrected, with money he doesn't have. We waited until he went inside before approaching the house. Mom opened the door before we could knock, her face lighting up. Not for me, but for the pies Marley was carrying. Oh, wonderful! And Camila, you look nice. Her pause spoke volumes. Trevor's already here. He brought the most amazing wine. I'm sure he did, I muttered, following her inside. Probably charged it to my account. The house was filled with familiar faces and the smell of turkey. Trevor held court by the fireplace, regaling my father and some relatives with what I was sure were more fabricated business stories. Camila! Trevor's voice boomed across the room. Come here, I was just telling everyone about that brilliant investment strategy I developed for your company last year. I caught Marley's eye as she discreetly checked the hidden cameras. She gave me a subtle thumbs up. What investment strategy would that be, Trevor? I asked, loud enough for everyone to hear. You know, the Asian market expansion, the one that doubled your profits? He laughed, turning to my father. She's so modest about her success, never wants to admit how much help she needed. Actually, I started, but Mom interrupted. Camila, help me in the kitchen. Trevor, dear, tell them about that new venture you're working on. In the kitchen, Mom busied herself with last minute preparations while shooting me warning glances. I know what you're doing, she said quietly. Please don't make a scene today. Me? Make a scene? I laughed. What about Trevor taking credit for my work? He's just trying to help. Why can't you see that? Before I could respond, Paige burst into the kitchen. Mom, Trevor just showed me the investment papers for his new company. It's amazing. He says he can get me in on the ground floor. My blood ran cold. What investment papers? Not that it's any of your business, Paige sniffed, but he's starting a company just like yours, only better. He says, of course he does. I pushed past her, heading back to the living room, where Trevor was now showing documents to my father. It's all perfectly legal, Trevor was saying. We just need initial investors to get started. Family first, right? Family first, Dad agreed, reaching for his pen. Stop! I moved forward, but Mom grabbed my arm. Camila, enough! You're embarrassing yourself. Trevor smiled sympathetically. Camila's just worried about competition. Understandable, really. Her company's been struggling lately. My company is doing fine, I snapped. No thanks to your attempts to steal my clients. The room fell silent. Trevor's smile never wavered. I think the stress is getting to you, sweetheart. Maybe we should. Don't sweetheart me. I pulled out my phone, checking Marley's signal. The cameras were rolling. Why don't you tell everyone about the corporate card you've been using, or the fraudulent loan applications? Camila! Mom gasped. How dare you? It's okay, Trevor said smoothly. She's been having these paranoid episodes lately. I've been trying to help. Help? I laughed. Like you helped yourself to my business model? My client list? That's enough! Dad stood up. Trevor has done nothing but support this family while you've been too selfish to. A notification popped up on my phone. Footage from one of the hidden cameras. Trevor, just minutes ago in the hallway, talking to Paige. Your sister's pathetic, really. But your parents? They'll believe anything I tell them. Watch this. My hands shook as I watched him return to the living room, transforming instantly into the perfect son in law they all adored. Dinner's ready, Mom called from the dining room. Everyone take your seats. I watched as they all moved to the dining room, Trevor leading the way like he owned the place. Marley appeared at my side. All cameras are active, she whispered. Ready when you are. I nodded, following the family to the dining room. Trevor sat in his usual place of honor next to Dad, already launching into another story about his fictional business success. You okay? Marley asked quietly as we took our seats. I watched Trevor charm my family, watched them hang on his every word, watched him lay the groundwork for stealing their retirement funds. The evidence was ready. The cameras were rolling. In less than an hour, their perfect image of Trevor would shatter. I'm fine, I said, reaching for the wine. Not Trevor's favorite, after all. Just waiting for the right moment. The turkey was perfectly cooked, but every bite tasted like ash in my mouth. Trevor dominated the conversation, spinning tales of his imaginary business empire while my family ate it up like the pumpkin pie waiting in the kitchen. So then I told the board of directors, Trevor was saying, gesturing with his fork, that their approach was all wrong. They needed to think bigger. What company was this again? I asked innocently, catching Marley's slight nod. The cameras were catching everything. Oh, one of the major tech firms. Trevor waved dismissively. Can't discuss details, of course. Confidentiality agreements. Of course, I smiled, watching him squirm slightly. Just like you couldn't discuss details when you tried accessing my company's client database last week. The table fell silent. Mom's fork clattered against her plate. Camila? Dad warned. We're not doing this today. Doing what? I asked. Telling the truth. Trevor laughed smoothly. I think someone's had too much wine. Speaking of business, Daryl, have you had a chance to look over those investment papers? Yes, about that. Dad beamed. Your mother and I have decided to invest the full retirement fund. Paige clapped her hands. Me too. Trevor's helping me liquidate my savings tomorrow. No. I stood up so quickly my chair scraped against the floor. Nobody's investing anything. Sit down, Mom hissed. You're making a scene. A scene? I laughed. You want to see a scene? I pulled out my phone, but Trevor spoke first. I know this is hard for you, he said, his voice dripping with fake concern, seeing others succeed where you're struggling. But this hostility? Struggling? I turned to my family. My company just landed the Miller account, a $50 million deal, but I'm sure Trevor already told you that since he's been pretending to be my business partner. That's ridiculous, Paige scoffed. Trevor would never. Check your phone, I cut her off. All of you, check your emails. What are you talking about? Mom started, but her phone dinged. So did everyone else's. I just sent you proof, I said, watching their faces as they opened their emails. Security footage from my office showing Trevor trying to steal client information, bank statements showing him using company funds, recordings of him mocking all of you behind your backs. This is absurd, Trevor started, but Dad was already frowning at his phone. What's this about fraudulent loan applications using our address? And these bank transfers? Paige looked up, confused. Trevor, why are there withdrawals from Camila's corporate account on your personal statement? Trevor's charm slipped for just a moment. Those are obviously fabricated. Camila's just jealous because. Because what? I pressed a button on my phone and Trevor's voice filled the room through the hidden speakers. These people are so stupid. Daryl and Marley actually think I'm some business genius. They're about to hand over their retirement fund. Can you believe it? The footage was from 20 minutes ago, caught by the camera in the hallway during a private phone call. Mom's face went pale. Trevor? It's not what you think. He started, but I wasn't done. Here's footage from my restaurant where you charged thousands to a corporate card you shouldn't have. Here's you bragging to investors about stealing my business model. Here's you yesterday planning to scam my sister out of her savings. Each clip played in succession, Trevor's true nature displayed for all to see. The charming mask cracked completely. You don't understand, he snarled, mask finally falling away. Your precious daughter isn't as perfect as you think. She what? Marley spoke up. Built a successful company? Tried to protect her family from a con man? Tell us, Trevor, what exactly has Camila done wrong? The room fell silent except for the continuing playback of Trevor's various schemes. Mom stared at her plate. Dad's face grew redder by the second, and Paige looked like she might be sick. I can explain everything. Trevor tried one last time, but Dad cut him off. Get out. Daryl, be reasonable. Get out. Dad's voice shook with rage. And if you ever come near my family or our money again, your family? Trevor laughed bitterly. Your family that you've been ignoring in favor of me for 3 years? That family? Trevor, I said quietly, holding up my phone. The cameras are still rolling. Want to dig yourself deeper? He looked around the table, seeing the shock and betrayal on every face. His perfect con was unraveling, and there was nothing he could do about it. Fine, he spat, throwing down his napkin. Keep your pathetic family dinner, but don't come crying to me when your precious daughter's company tanks. As Trevor stormed out, the front door slamming behind him, I sat back down and reached for the wine. Now, I said to my stunned family, should we talk about those investment papers? The silence that followed Trevor's exit was deafening. Mom sat frozen, her fork suspended halfway to her mouth. Dad stared at the investment papers like they might burst into flames. Paige kept refreshing her email, watching Trevor's deceptions play out again and again. I need a drink, Dad finally said, pushing back from the table. I'll get it, Marley offered, but he shook his head. No, I need to I need to think. He walked to the liquor cabinet, hands shaking as he poured himself a scotch. 3 years. 3 years we've been fooled? I supplied. Manipulated? Scammed? Camila, Mom started, but her voice cracked. We didn't know. You didn't want to know, I corrected. I tried to tell you. Remember last Christmas, when I showed you the unauthorized charges on my company account? Trevor said those were approved expenses. Paige whispered. He said you were just being difficult. And you believed him. All of you. I pulled up another video on my phone. Watch this. The footage showed Trevor in my office lobby just last week. bragging to a potential investor. The best part is, her parents think I'm some kind of business genius. They're about to invest their retirement fund in my new venture, pure profit, zero work, just like old times. Mom started crying. Dad downed his scotch in one gulp. The country club membership, he said suddenly. The one Trevor said he arranged. I pay for that, I said quietly. Just like I paid for Paige's wedding venue when Trevor's special deal fell through. Paige's head snapped up. What? But Trevor said a lot of things. I played another clip, this one from my restaurant's security cameras. Here he is mocking your wedding page, calling it cheap and tacky while charging the premium wine to my account. Fresh tears rolled down Paige's cheeks. I defended him. Every time Marley tried to warn me, I defended him. We all did, Mom whispered. She reached for my hand across the table. I pulled away. Don't, I said. Don't act like this makes everything okay. You chose him over me for 3 years. Every success I had, you credited to him. Every time I tried to warn you, you called me jealous and bitter. Sweetheart, Dad started. No, I stood up. You don't get to sweetheart me. Not after telling me last month that I should be grateful for Trevor's guidance in my business. Not after blaming me for the divorce when he was the one stealing from my company. Marley touched my arm gently. Cam, do you know what it's like? I continued, my voice rising. To build something from nothing, to work 80-hour weeks, to finally succeed, only to have your own parents credit it all to your lying ex husband? We were wrong, Dad said, his voice heavy. So terribly wrong. Wrong doesn't cover it. I played one final clip. Trevor at my parents' anniversary party, filmed just 2 weeks ago. These people are so gullible, he was saying to someone off camera. They actually think I care about them. As soon as I get their retirement fund, I'm gone. Mom sobbed harder. Paige looked like she might throw up. The investment papers, Dad said suddenly, grabbing them from the table. We need to. Already taken care of, I said. Nasir flagged Trevor's accounts. Any attempts to transfer funds will be blocked and reported to the authorities. The authorities? Paige squeaked. Yes, the authorities. What he's done is fraud. Multiple counts. I turned to Marley. We should go. Camilla, please. Mom stood up. Don't leave. We need to talk about this. Talk about what? How you believed every word from a man who was actively stealing from me? How you pushed me aside for someone who was planning to steal your life savings? We're sorry, Paige whispered. Sorry doesn't erase 3 years. I grabbed my purse. I've sent copies of everything to your emails. Watch it all. See exactly who you chose over your own daughter. What can we do? Dad asked, his voice breaking. How can we make this right? I paused at the dining room door, looking back at my broken family. The perfect Thanksgiving dinner lay abandoned on the table, turkey growing cold, gravy congealing in its boat. You can start, I said quietly, by never telling me again that I should be more like Trevor. As Marley and I walked to the car, I could hear Mom crying through the open window. Part of me wanted to go back, to accept their apologies, to try to fix things. But another part, the part that had endured 3 years of gaslighting and dismissal, knew that some things needed to stay broken for a while before they could be properly rebuilt. You okay? Marley asked as we drove away. No, I answered honestly. But for the first time in 3 years, I think I will be. The morning after Thanksgiving, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Texts, calls, and emails poured in, all from family members who'd watched the full extent of Trevor's deception unfold in their inboxes overnight. Your mother's called 6 times, Marley said, bringing me coffee as I worked in my home office, and Paige has sent about 20 texts. I'm not ready, I replied, focusing on my laptop screen. Nasir just sent over more evidence. Trevor tried accessing our system again last night. From where? Airport Wi Fi. I showed her the trace report. Looks like he's running. My office door burst open and Paige rushed in, mascara streaked down her face. I couldn't sleep. I watched everything, every video, every recording. How did you get in? I asked. I still have a key, remember? She collapsed into a chair. God, Cam, the things he said about us, about me, my wedding. I tried to tell you. I know. I know. She wiped her eyes. Mom and Dad are devastated. Dad's been up all night, going through bank statements, investment papers, everything. My phone buzzed again. Nasir. Trevor's credit cards are being declined. Want me to keep tracking him? Yes, I texted back. What's going to happen to him? Paige asked. That depends on whether mom and dad press charges. I pulled up another email. The fraud department at my bank has enough evidence to pursue this either way. The doorbell rang. Marley went to answer it, returning with my parents. Mom looked like she hadn't slept at all. Dad clutched a folder full of papers. Before you ask us to leave, Dad said quickly, we need to show you something. He spread the papers on my desk, bank statements, investment documents, loan applications, all with Trevor's forged signatures. We're pressing charges, he said firmly. All of it. Every fraud, every theft, every lie. You don't have to, I started. Yes, we do, Mom interrupted. We do have to. We have to because we failed you. We chose him over you, and we were wrong. So terribly wrong. We've already called the police, Dad added. And our lawyer. Whatever you need us to do, whatever evidence you have, we're ready. My phone buzzed again, a news alert this time. Trevor's face filled the screen. Local businessman wanted for multiple fraud charges. It's starting, Marley said, reading over my shoulder. Mom stepped forward, hesitantly. Camila, we know we can't fix this with one apology or 100 apologies, but please, please let us try to make it right. We've been blind, Dad added. Willfully blind, and you suffered for it. Paige grabbed my hand. We chose the wrong person to believe in. Our own sister, daughter, and we couldn't see what was right in front of us. I looked at their faces, the guilt, the shame, the desperate need to make amends. 3 years of hurt couldn't be erased in a day, but maybe. The Miller contract, I said suddenly. The $50 million deal? They looked confused at the change of subject. I'm presenting the final proposal next week. You could come, see what your daughter actually does for a living. Mom burst into fresh tears. Dad's hands trembled as he gathered his papers. We'd be honored, he said quietly. Actually honored this time, not just pretending to understand like we did when Trevor was. Don't, I cut him off. Don't mention him again. Not if you want to start fixing this. My phone lit up with another news alert. Trevor had been caught trying to board a flight to the Cayman Islands. The police were waiting at his gate. Justice, Marley muttered. No, I said, looking at my family. Broken, but here, trying, finally seeing the truth. Justice is this, having my family finally see me, really see me. We see you now, Paige whispered. We should have all along. Mom stepped forward again, and this time when she reached for my hand, I let her take it. Show us, she said. Show us everything we should have seen before. Your company, your success, your life. Show us who our daughter really is. I squeezed her hand, feeling the first crack in my armor. Okay, I said. But this time, you have to promise to actually look. No more believing pretty lies over ugly truths. No more lies, Dad agreed. Only truth from now on. My phone buzzed one final time, a message from Trevor's number. You'll regret this. Nobody will believe you over me. I showed the message to my family, watching their faces harden with resolve. He's wrong, Paige said firmly. We believe you now. We should have all along. I deleted Trevor's message without responding. He didn't matter anymore. What mattered was the truth, hard and painful as it was, and the family finally ready to see it. So, I said, pulling up my company's presentation, want to see what your daughter really does? They gathered around my desk, eager to learn, ready to listen, ready, finally, to see me.